moaning at me that I need to upload some more stuff. So, at a local car show, thought I'd go for a little wander around here and show you some of the stuff that's here. It's quite windy, so I don't know if the audio will be any good. Might be a bit shit. But anyway, let's do one. Right. First up, Morris Minor. So this is quite cool. I noticed it from a while back because it's got quite a wide stance. Under the bonnet it looks like a fairly standard engine, but got some K&N bits on it. Then sort of giveaway on these is it's got a Ford gearbox, well, a Ford gear knob in it, so I think it's got Sierra gearbox on it, which gives it sort of 5-speed gearbox so they can shift. And then the wood on it just looks absolutely immaculate. I've always loved these. My dad used to have one, but someone nicked it after he forgot to turn the car alarm off. Brilliant. Awesome. Right, next. Pink Cadillac, don't care. Then Karmann Ghia. So back when car companies had coach builders, so just a Beetle based thing really. With the old Karmann. Oh. Usually you'd see a Ghia badge on a Ford, but obviously this was before they were just a badge. I don't think they exist anymore, I think they went bust. And then interestingly, we've got the Ghia, and then over on the other side we've got a Porsche Speedster. It's obviously it's not because you can see the fiberglass is cracked on it. But Beetle engine, same chassis I think as the Karmann Ghia. Apparently this one was once owned by comedian Vic Reeves. What's next? I don't. Oh, this thing's weird. Yeah, I don't know. But it's a Raffo, which I've never heard of. But I was noticing this windscreen. A mate of mine, he builds Lancia Stratos sort of replica kit cars, and this windscreen looks exactly the same as the one off of his Stratos kit thing, which is quite interesting. I don't know what. I mean, obviously, I'm going to have to Google this afterwards. A Belva, but it's got a Ford engine because I noticed that under the back there. But it looks quite cool. I imagine it is absolutely rapid. Porsche 928, of course. Awesome thing. I once worked out at a race called the Silver State Classic Challenge, which is in Nevada, and a guy entered the race with one of these, and all he'd really done to it was stick a supercharger onto it, and it went through a speed trap. I think it was 220 miles an hour. And of course Scarface had one, which makes it fucking cool. What next? What else did I see that was cool? Yeah, Rover P5B Coupe, awesome. Queen had one, so obviously instant kudos. A lot of these actually died banger racing in the UK, which is a bit sort of like stock car racing, I suppose, where you just kind of twat into each other until the last one's engine's still running. So Rover V8 engine, built like a tank, so you could smash into each other and do yourself lots of internal injuries while your car is still running. Look at that! That's just a cool view. This is a massive Bentley. Don't really. It's a Bentley S1. I wish I knew more about classics like this, but anyway. Absolute tank. Especially when you see it next to the. It's just a wedding car, really, isn't it? Interesting thing I always think about these was they were kind of built when Britain was told export or die. So they had to build cars for the Americans rather than sort of building cars themselves. So there's loads of these in America now, and they're worth an absolute fortune. What else we got? Oh, Singer. This Singer's quite cool. I was speaking to the owner earlier. It's quite cool. Part of the Roots group. And this one's only got 17,000 miles on it. Absolutely incredible. So Roots group, you had, what do you have in it? You had like Sunbeam and Humber and Hillman. I think Triumph was in it as well, but British Leyland bought Triumph, and then yeah, Triumph Triumph happened and they did okay and stuff. That's quite interesting. And there's this weird fiberglass thing next to it, which, I mean, it's a bit weird, but it's got a big sign on it on the front telling you what it is. It's 1962 Rochdale Olympic Phase 1. Fiberglass thing. Never heard of one, but it looks quite cool. And obviously here's a Ford Granada police car, which, I mean, it's interesting, I'll give him that. And he's obviously put a police helmet on the roof. I mean, each to their own, I suppose, but it is quite cool. I've always quite fancied a Vauxhall Senator 24 valve so that I can pretend that I'm in police camera action from about 1995. Or an SD1. Oh, this is cool. A Westfield with a I think that's a Pinto engine. Oh, and it's for sale, £6 there you go, nice. So the thing with Westfield was basically when Lotus got rid of the 7 platform, they sold it to Caterham, and then Caterham started building them under licence. I don't quite understand what happened with Westfield, but anyway, I think they started in about 1986, building basically Lotus 7s and all sorts of engines, Fords, and I'm pretty sure they did a Rover V8 one as well, but they're quite cool. Oh, here's a Triumph 2.5. Very cool. It's interesting. Vauxhall Viscount. So awesome straight 6 in this thing. And some sort of obviously giant horn arrangement that he's fitted there. Can only assume he's either a very aggressive driver or just a bit mad. Mark II Escort in I don't know what colour you'd call that, purple, sort of Gillette. What's the Gillette women's razor? Venus? Sort of Gillette Venus purple, I think that would be called. Very cool. And he's worth an absolute fortune. Always like the Mark II Escorts. If you've ever seen these rallying, you know why it's so sad they don't really use, you know, rear-wheel drive in rallying anymore, because I've been to the Wydene rally a few times and seeing these going sideways at full chat is just awesome. And obviously he's got the lights covered up there because they won't work because they're Lucas. Escort Ghia. Ooh, focus. Escort Ghia. Quite like. I really do like cars like this where it's just a sort of fairly normal car, but it's in pretty immaculate condition. Oh, Ghia, but not a Karmann Ghia. It's an auto as well, actually. I noticed inside. Let me see. After zoom, it'll be shit. Oh, it's got like a period no smoking sign, which I assume means that at some point it was a, you know, like a company car or a rental car. Morgan, made of wood. Fine. Another Morgan, made of wood. Golf GTI. Yes. Mark II 16 valve. Looks absolutely immaculate. So obviously it's, I mean, obviously the main problem these had is the 205 GTI is better in every single way, but, you know, still nice. It's got a turd in the back there. Great. But I like these. Really cool. Always quite fancied one if I'm honest, but I've driven a couple of them and 205 is better. Jag. Big V12. XJS. Another one of these cars that I've always looked at in the classifiers and thought I quite fancy one of those because they've always been ridiculously cheap for years. I think they're starting to actually come up well now. Actually worth a few quid now, I think. There's a Ferrari. It's an FF. Yeah, whatever. I mean, there's supposed to be a car there, but I can't see anything. No, I mean it's just an empty. It's just an empty tent. There's nothing there. That's weird. Anyway, MX-5 Owners Club and a monkey tree. I actually had a Mark II years ago, which was fine, but it just rusted to shit. Liked it though. I would like another one day when I can get a Mark IV for, you know, like maybe like £5 or something. Then I'll sort of think about it. Oh wait, no, look. Sometimes see these at classic car shows here, which is steam engines that are just inexplicably running, with a man sat next to them, just monitoring that the engine is indeed still running. I've never quite. I mean, it does look interesting. I mean, he's in a tent, and I mean, it looks like, well, you know, I can keep saying each to their own, I suppose. This is cool. Fucking love this. I was speaking to the owner actually, who's got it up for sale. He wants £4 for it. Fiat X19. So, Bertoni, obviously. Awesome little car. And again, my mate that builds the Stratos replicas, he always nicks the door handles off of these and a few other bits. I really like these. It's kind of like reminds me of the Triumph TR7 a bit. Look at this like US style front bumper that just sort of juts out. Very cool, mid-engined. It's kind of like very similar, I suppose, actually as well to Mark 1 Toyota MR2, and they both share in common that they rust like fuck. So that's but cool. Anyway, Mini, obviously, standard car show. A mate of mine had one of these at sixth form, very similar, but his was white, and I think he paid £10 for it. I mean, that car now must be worth about £5, which is depressing. Yeah. Oh yeah, he drove. I think it weren't. Oh yeah, he drove into the back of someone at about 5. No, someone drove into the back of him at 5 miles an hour, and then he wrote off the courtesy car we were in by doing a handbrake turn through a fence, which was a Vauxhall Corsa. So you know, he did the world a service. What we got here? Oh yeah, Anglia. No, not Anglia. Talking shit. That's an Anglia. That's an Austin A35. Very cool. Also known as the Wallace and Gromit car. R.I.P. Wallace. Very cool. Anglia. I love Anglias, especially the early ones. I quite like. Well, I like the later Harry Potter ones as well, I suppose. But these earlier ones, they just have a nice, clean look about them. A lot of people put all sorts of engines in them, go drag racing. Very cool. That's right. That one's called Florence. Another Westfield. Don't know what engine that one's got in it. MGB Roadster. One day. Over here. TVR. I mean, I've always wanted a Tuscan, and one day when I sort of had a few drinks, I thought I'll probably go on eBay. This is a Chimera, I think, or is it Griffith? No. I'm going to look at the back because I can't remember. Oh no, it's a Chimera, I was right. And this, of course, interestingly, is the Rover V8. And a couple of the other cars here have got that, such as Rover P5 over there. I think it's literally the same engine, so that Buick 3.5 V8. Look at that. So I think, essentially, that has kind of got the same engine as that. Weird. Nice MG. It's a midget, isn't it? Midgets. Do like these. You always see some really pimped up hill climb ones. Just awesome. Another Morris Minor. I've never really quite seen the point in these. I mean, it just keeps the sun out, I suppose. But do they not have? Well, they do have sun flaps. Yeah. It kind of looks like your car's wearing a baseball cap. That's fine. Another Morris Minor. Yes. Well, a Delta Integrale, of course. This kind of sticks out a bit here, this one. I always like these because Lancias have got the best seat cover. Not sure about that. But look at the dash. Oh my god. Oh. I mean, that is just the coolest dashboard on a car. It's a right-hand drive one as well. Don't really see many of those. Very cool. Also next to it, another 80s legend. E30. Again, this one looks absolutely mint. It said something on the options list that I didn't quite understand. It said additional petrol cap. Not a fucking clue what that means. I can only see one petrol cap. What's an additional petrol cap? There's not. I don't know. Anyway, I love an E30. I tooled around in a 325i for a while, and although it was one of the few cars I've very nearly binned, it was awesome. Look at how mint that is. Fucking hell. Imagine that as a two-car garage. That would be... or garage rather, I went American there. That's just... No. Another Singer. Oh no, it's a Sunbeam, sorry, I'm talking. Probably about... oh, Supras. Supras. Remember the last time you saw a factory Supra? No.